Doctor Who, Season 13, Series 13, Flux, Episodes 4 and 5, Village of the Angels, and Survivors of the Flux.
Dun, dun, dun.
Chibnall can't help himself.
No.
No, he's just like, ugh.
I have said it before and I will say it again. The reason why this is called Flux is because it actually is what the flux.
Drop the L and give it to Chibnall.
Yes. The flux.
Yeah, that was, I mean, and he didn't, like, up until the point where they were, it's like, on the Village of the Angels, okay. So he mostly sticks to, he doesn't mess up the angels too much in their abilities right up until the end. Like everything follows exactly what Moffat outlined as this is what angels are capable of. Even the things I don't really care that they're Moffat, it's Moffat, and that's part of their abilities, and it's fine because it's what Moffat did, and he invented them, so they're his baby. He can say what they are. But I never liked whatever possesses the image of an angel becomes an angel, or something like that. It's like, yeah,
Yes.
that's not, that was never my favorite thing. It's like, these things are spooky enough. They're powerful enough. They don't need, oh, you saw an angel once? Okay, now it's in your head. I look into the eyes.
You see, you
Mm.
see it's you look too long at an angel and it gets burned your retina. Like you keep the angel in your mind. So you know what you need to do? You need to keep an angel and a silence next to each other. Because then you can keep staring at it and you can't blink, because if you blink, the angel will get you. But if you do run away and get out of the way, you'll forget the angel was ever there. So therefore it's not in your mind and therefore you're safe.
Especially if you had,
oh my gosh, turn the silence into a weeping angel, you're screwed.
if you turned a silence towards the angel, if you had a silence watching an angel, and then if they would be perfect, like, yeah, it would be a perfect companion to deal with angels, because you can't, as long as the silence keeps an eye on, the angel, like, you can't retain the angel in your mind, and the silence keeps an eye on the angel holding it still. But this is standard sort of, other than the quantum extraction, which we'll get into that in the second episode.
That whole thing was just at first, with the quantum extraction, at first I thought it was just that the world was this world was slowly being eaten away by the flux, which would be understandable and be like, oh, that's one thing. And that's like, at first I thought it was like a place to keep them safe or something. Like, for some reason, the angels were keeping them safe.
Well, see, my initial thought with them was, when it says quantum extraction, I was thinking more along the lines of, without the Doctor, with the Doctor preoccupied, and with Sontarans and everything else, they snuck back into the time stream, or some of them found their way into a gap in the time stream, and were trying to sort of Weeping Angel Earth as a whole, and it just takes a while since it's so big. Because because Weeping Angels love big, complicated things, complicated temporal things are very much things that angels like. And so if they can send the Earth back however long, then they, it just
I just had a cosplay idea.
let's
Two people dressed as Statue of Liberty, one with the weeping angel wings and the other one with slime all over them, and it's the battle between the Ghostbuster Liberty and the Angel Liberty.
But yeah, that was my initial thought, was this was the angels sort of extracting the potential, the temporal potential of Earth itself, since Earth is a very complicated time thing. Given how much the Doctor bounces around Earth, it gets very complicated. So that would be something that, but like they normally don't do that because the Doctor usually finds them. But if the Doctor's busy dealing with everything else, dealing with the flux, okay, and try and eat the Earth.
She's just fluxing around.
Oh, and what was the other thing? It was something else that they were doing that wasn't. I forgot about it. I thought of it and then I forgot it. That the angels did that they don't.
Thing?
What?
The turning her into an angel?
Yeah, well, there was that too, but that was towards the end of the episode. The other thing was the 2-touch kill.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that being a thing.
I mean, it would make sense in a way.
Yeah.
Sort of, maybe. But you would think they just send you further back. But at the same time, they already gathered your potential energy. So you're kind of out of energy for them to gather. So therefore...
Which would be interesting if they just... People who they had already touched, they just ignore because there's nothing more to get from them. So, like, if there was an angel coming after somebody and they'd already touched that person, they'd already stolen. Time travelers might be a different subject because they can move around, and so they might be able to regain that temporal energy by just being time travelers. But
yeah, the thing is, they take that time from you, like by... If you remember with the guy in Blink, they sent him back into time so that his day of death is the day he was sent back. So they literally send you back as far back as you are going to live. Which, I mean, isn't as that bad of the thing. I mean, as far as their abilities, they're not as scary as, say, the Daleks or the Cybermen or all that shit. But
yeah,
I mean, as Simon Whistler says, the past is the worst. So,
but yeah, it's an interesting subject of, okay, what can the angels do? Like, most of this is fine. The 2-touch kill was weird, and you'd think that they would be more wary of it after the first time, and they were suddenly the light changed and all this stuff, and they hadn't pieced it together, and it was like. And everybody's yelling at them, "Don't touch the angel! Don't touch the angel!
Don't tell me what to do!
Yeah,
I'm
it's like
old dumb guy.
Weird stuff just happened, and all these people are yelling at me, "Don't touch the angel!" And I touched the angel, and something weird happened. Maybe I shouldn't touch the angel.
Oh, and the British guy. They're all British, but the old scientist guy.
Yeah.
That was Gibbs from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, nice.
Okay, well, I've only seen the first one, so
he was in the first one. He was the dude who was sleeping with the pigs.
It's been a long time since I've seen the first one.
I like that professor dude. He was cool.
Well, I mean, I like Gibbs too. He was fun.
Oh, yeah.
He was the one who's all like on par with Jack as far as double talking.
Now, the one thing I found bullshit about the angels is like, are you kidding me? He got done in by angel dust.
Yes.
It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
And it always seems odd to me.
I mean, angel dust can be deadly.
No, I'm just imagining you just take like a microscope on that dust that flew in his eye. You see like thousands of little tiny weeping angels. Like, yeah.
Yeah, the thing that always, like, they're really, they're
Although
really.
that does make me question then. That dust that sand that came out of the girl's eye, would that have the ability to send you back in time then? Because that is angel dust.
Probably.
I don't know. But it always seemed like we have this conversation pretty much every time Weeping Angels come up. It's like there's a lot of Weeping Angel countermeasures that make me wonder, like obviously they don't work as well when there's no light, but like if you had, fish, glowy fish, or a mirror and some light.
Yeah, just carry around an anglerfish with you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Glowy fish.
Those are bigger than one would expect.
I know.
No, here's what you
or
do.
Ants. Ants can probably see in the dark, and they
No, they don't really have a very good sense of sight.
But they don't have to. They don't have to exactly see them precisely. They just have to observe them. And then
but their sense of observation is so bad that
it wouldn't count.
if you draw a circle in chalk around an ant, it will get so confused it will starve to death.
But yeah, I'm just saying, like, what is the limit on what is the bottom limit for what freezes a weeping angel? Like,
here's what you do. You just take like a bunch of small mirrors, like pieces of broken mirror or whatever, and you just put it between their face and their hands.
Yeah, but the thing is,
they're already cupping their hands. You just tape.
Yeah,
but
the thing is, first of all, you'd be touching them then.
Not necessarily.
Just wear gloves.
No, because it touched the guy's blood. It can touch the guy's shirt, and the guy got sent back.
It's to do with a 10-foot pole, I guess, or something. There has to be like a limited distance or something.
Yeah, you could just use it with grabber thingies and some masking tape and a mirror and just tick.
But also keep in mind, you have to be. They have to be observed, which means a cognizance of some sort.
Oh yeah, okay. So you watch eye tape.
No. I'm saying. So, well, the angels observing each other in blink is one thing, because they are all observing each other. But the angels observing themselves, that's a little more iffy.
Yeah, it's weird to what the
threshold
is for what will stop an angel from moving.
Oh god.
Yeah.
That's always interesting. Is like, could you use ants? Ants, ants can probably see pretty well. Not in the dark. For what they are. I know their vision isn't great, but they could at least tell what's going on. I would imagine. Well, maybe they just use antenna.
Yeah, they use antenna.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about I was just going through like, okay, well, something small and you can get a lot of them, and I didn't think about antenna probably in the tunnels. I was thinking about the tunnels. Yeah, they have tunnels. They have to see something.
Oh,
but
I know. Have a pet praying mantis with you because they have like 360 vision.
I mean, the only thing with it is
they have pretty good vision, but the cognizance level, because they have to be observed, and that leads to the question of what level of consciousness do you need for the observation step?
Okay, yeah, because there is a certain point where, like in that tunnel, let's say there was an ant mound in that tunnel. If ants could do it, if ants could observe them. Yeah, I'm not saying. I'm saying, like the level is there has to be a base level, because at some level, like, there's living creatures everywhere, like, because bacteria obviously couldn't, because bacteria would be all over them, but then they would be sensing them as a sort of.
Although technically they should be pretty sterile, because if anything touches them and gets sent back in time, then the bacteria are all out of temporal phase, because they're all being sent back in time a few hours to the point they die. But then they'd probably still end up being on the angels, because
True.
Yeah, there's all these. There's got to be a baseline, because like I was saying, like, ant, something like an ant
have you
couldn't do
watched
it because.
Ant-Man recently or something? Because you are really obsessed with these ants.
No, it just I'm using them as an example again, because I'm just working through what where the limit would be, and I would think it would be above. It would have to be above bug in general, and ants are just a very common bug, because
I believe that the concept is it has to have some level of sentience. So maybe a bird or a dog, maybe, something that has some sense of self-awareness.
No, just implant your consciousness into a praying mantis.
I don't think that works.
But yeah,
well, maybe bring an animorph with you. They can morph into a praying mantis and see all around and be like, "Hey,
they don't blink."
Yeah, they don't. And because you are technically a humanoid being, just in the form of a praying mantis, you still have the cognizance to be able to observe.
Yeah, because if it was bugs,
hours at a time,
ants, cockroaches, mites, any of that, if they could in any way sense the angel, like, they would be everywhere. Like, bugs are everywhere, so the ants could never move if they not ants. The angels could never move if they were triggered by insects, because insects are everywhere. Well, flies see everything.
It has to be some level of cognizance to observe.
Yeah, it would have to be, maybe the rule would be something complex, like bugs are too simple. It would have to be something with an endoskeleton.
It would have to be something with a sense of self.
Yeah, and if we're saying insects don't have that, I'm saying, if we're saying that is they're off limits, then it would have to be something at least with, we're above anything with an exoskeleton. Nothing with an exoskeleton is conscious enough to trigger angels, because if they were, the angels could never move, because bugs are everywhere. So it has to be something slightly, bugs are everywhere, but maybe a mouse? Would a mouse be conscious enough to stop an angel? They're not everywhere. They could have not been. There could have been no mice in that tunnel. And where they were moving around, the mice could have just, there could have just been no mice there. But bugs are everywhere.
Okay, here's a question. Where did it ever explain that the thing had to be conscious?
I don't know. It wasn't explicitly explained, but it has to be. It has to be observed. An angel has to be observed, which has been mentioned multiple times in both.
I get observed, but
yes, and to observe something, you have to have a cognizance enough to comprehend what you are seeing.
And even if you don't subscribe to, you have to understand what you're seeing or something to that. It just from the fact that they move at all means that there has to be a threshold, because if there's no threshold, it's just any living organism will do. There's ants and cockroaches and that sort of thing everywhere, flies. They would never be able to move. So there has to be a threshold above, say, a fly, because otherwise there would be flies everywhere, and they would be just randomly in the middle of a chase, the angel would just stop because there's a fly.
Yeah, but then the fly lands on it, gets sent back a few seconds to its death, and then the
fly, no, it doesn't necessarily have to land on the angel. It just has to be set on a leaf nearby. Like it's taking a break on a daffodil, and it just happens to be pointed in the direction of the angel. Then the angel can't move if there's that low threshold.
We're talking about like things like that. Then a crow would definitely be one because
a crow or a raven.
Yeah, because they remember.
Yeah, they have facial recognition and cognizance of some sort, so they would count. A crow or a raven, a dog, a dolphin, those animals would probably trigger it.
Yeah, we just don't know. Like, we know it's probably above insects because they're everywhere, and the whole thing wouldn't work if they were.
The point is, it has to be observed. Ants and roaches and all of them not have the cognizant level to observe something.
Yeah, and whatever that means, to be observed for them, whatever the actual internal definition is for that, it's obviously above bugs anyway. So we don't know
the dumb bugs.
We don't know exactly what that line is, but we know it's above bugs. But yeah, it's just sort of interesting. Like, there's
to inspect or take note of as an augury, omen, or presage. To watch carefully, especially with attention to detail or behavior, for the purpose of arriving at a judgment.
Well, I mean, like, speaking of insects, so like most insects, ants, wasps, things like that, have to have some level of cognizance, because if they didn't, how would they know to attack humans, when you piss them off?
They don't just attack humans. They are their understanding is not a revenge thing. Some people think it is, but they do have a level of fight or flight, which everybody has, and that actually is the most primitive form of consciousness, which it's not even consciousness. Fight or flight is literally a reactionary reflex.
Technically, like freeze.
Well, fight, flight, or freeze. Yes.
Yeah.
Technically.
But yeah, at any rate, we've come to the conclusion that the what you can use as a angel detector or an angel stopper is an interesting open question to a certain extent. We don't know how low it's above bugs. We don't know how low you can go in the endoskeleton world. Ones with bones on the inside. Like, we don't know how low you can go. Can you do that with a mouse? We don't know. But
mice are pretty smart.
Yeah, we don't know if their intelligence is high enough for that to work.
An octopus, maybe.
Oh, octopus would definitely. I mean, I don't think there's...
Octopus are really smart.
Yeah, so...
And they have recognition. Like, they can recognize people.
Yeah, I think there's an intelligence above which we're pretty sure that they would be able to do it. Like, yeah, I mean, like you said before, dolphins, I think, yeah, there's no question they would pass the can it stop an angel test. If one fell in the ocean and there was a pod of dolphins inspecting it, as long as they didn't touch it, they could stop the angel as much as they wanted.
Then again, they wouldn't really have to do anything, because you throw an angel in the ocean, they're not really getting out of there. I don't think they can swim.
They just walk. They don't care about. I don't think that oxygen is a problem for them.
Oh, I know.
They're quantum locked creatures. I don't think air is a problem.
Oh yeah, I'm
But
just saying they're
stone
stuck.
does decompose like in water.
Erodes if they don't have any other means
Erodes.
of
So
that. So if you drop them in the Marianas Trench, by the time they got to shore, where they could actually start reaping temporal energy again, like maybe that would take some time. But they do move really fast, even as long as it was sort of topped up before, it could probably move really fast because it wouldn't be observed very much. But yeah, I don't know. We don't know. We don't know enough about the angels and what's the limit of what can stop them. But
and with Chibnall, we never will because that's just.
yeah, I mean, yeah. So like the two touch. So the only things he added, kind of two things I think, because I don't remember the two touch being a thing. I mean, there was it. Yeah.
Although at the same time, we don't know if it was because they never addressed it. The only thing they addressed really was the whole fact that there were so many sends back at the same time that it caused a flux inside the timeline at that point in time, the 1939 or whatever. Which my question on that one is, why didn't he just go back in time a year or two later and pick him up?
Well, they kind of addressed that as like it's. I think it ended up being one of those when the angels send you back, you kind of become a fixed point. You can't like, especially since he knew they had been there and had died there or something. Like he found something out and that locked the whole timeline thing. But like he couldn't go back and see them. Or he couldn't go back and do something. I forget what it was, but he couldn't.
I can't go take them back because they're stuck there, but you can go visit, you douche.
But yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, there was a restriction on it because they were moved by the angels. So they had to, they were kind of stuck where they were. I mean, for the most part, like the angel getting stuck inside of her is not untread ground.
Yeah, that's not.
Because we've seen that that happened with
Amy,
Amy, which is kind of interesting in that, like this time the doctor, I guess they needed her. They weren't counting down like we're going to make her one of us, like that. That wasn't really what they were doing. They were doing something. Their tactics were different. That wasn't their goal. To do that.
This one was more Call of the Raven thing. Like with the last Clara episode, where this one was more of a, I'm going to use her to get to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, because like in this one, they used her to snare the doctor, which is why there was no countdown or anything. It was subtle because they weren't trying to make her one of them. They were just using her as
bait.
A lure.
Yeah, she was bait. And so they wanted to keep their, you wouldn't, if you wouldn't remotely destroy your bait if you were dragging the fish along. You want to, you might get the doctor by changing her a little, but you change her a little bit to spook the doctor and let her know, oh, there's an angel inside and whatnot, and make her think too quickly, so she runs out. So they didn't need to change her because that's not what they were going. That wasn't their goal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, the first part, other than really the ending, like, other than the ending, and the two touch kill wasn't incredibly out of left field. It's adding stuff, but it isn't something
It's not
ridiculous.
so out of place that it's like, what the? It's not Timeless Child.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way.
it's weird and it's new, but it's not that far out for what an angel could be capable of. It's new, but it's not the end of the episode where they turn the Doctor into a weeping angel to move her and then turn her back.
Which,
No,
okay.
see, what happened was, in order to make her more pliable and easy to transport, they just got her stoned.
Hey, maybe them being able to turn to a weeping angel is like more proof that maybe weeping angels were Time Lords.
Or, well, I don't think they were Time Lords, but maybe they were other things that all got turned, like Amy almost did, and I keep forgetting her name, but the girl here did.
Chloe?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I want to say Clara, but I don't think it was Clara. So Chloe might be. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think Clara ever was close to becoming
No,
an
not.
angel.
No, not. I mean, I think the girl's name was something like Clara.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I think it was Chloe, but I could be wrong. It was something starting with a C.
Yeah.
Clarice.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It was shorter than that, but yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible episode right up until the end. Like, it's a fairly standard sort of weeping angel episode for most of it, and then it gets weird at the end.
Super weird.
It's another one of those ones that, like, it feels like he wrote like half, he wrote most of an episode, and then like the last like 5% of it, oh, I want to bundle all this stuff in this episode too, and just like shove it into the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a twist.
And I think that's what he's been doing this entire thing, which makes the entire series feel so off. Because
like, pacing is terrible.
It's like, dude, I understand this is your last hurrah and you're trying to make something memorable, but don't make it memorable because it's crap.
Yeah, I think it's he doesn't know how to end an episode properly. Like, there are some interesting ideas he's done. I'll give him credit, but they're usually executed terribly. They're usually terribly executed, poor pacing, or he gets caught up in his own politics and he's just like, okay, I get it. And I'm not saying that you can't have commentary in Doctor Who, but usually there's some sort of veneer of allegory in this.
Yeah, it's usually an allegory, not just a,
Yeah. There's a veneer of allegory, or, there's posing a question and letting the audience think it through. This is just a lot of stare down the camera and I will tell you exactly. He gets too tied up in that, I think, instead of going, okay, allegory, or his allegory is so thin that it's just like the not Trump in Arachnids in the UK. Like, you know exactly what he was, and the thing about him was he was actually, compared to the Doctor, quite merciful, like when it came to the Arachnids, because what did he do when he saw the giant Arachnids suffering and the Doctor couldn't do anything? instead of letting it, an animal suffer for an additional 10 minutes struggling to breathe and then die, it's like, okay, I'll just put it out of its misery. It's an animal. It's not a human.
Hmm?
It's not like it's
Even
not.
a human, you would put them out of their misery. You wouldn't let them sit there and suffer.
Well,
You
unless
could
it
you
was
could do
enemy.
something for a human. You could, get them, medical assistance. There was nothing you could do for this, you know. You could get a human medical assistance. You can't get this giant arachnid.
I'm just saying, you can shoot a human in the head too.
But it doesn't even rise to this is a human. No, this is just a giant bug that's clearly suffering and is only going to continue to suffer because the doctor's not going to do anything. So he's going to shoot him in the head. It's like, yeah. Oh, they're trying to make him out to look like a monster. It's like, no, the guy was being humane. It's like, this thing is clearly suffering. You think every veterinarian who puts down a dog because they're suffering is somehow some sort of monster? And on top of that, the doctor themselves rushed all the arachnids into the panic room and then locked it. What's going to happen to all those arachnids? Are they just going to
eat
kill?
each other?
They're going to eat each other, and the last one's going to starve to death slowly if it doesn't die from its wounds from trying to eat the other spiders. So instead of a quick, painless death, by some, essentially whatever the doctor would choose to be the most humane way to get rid of them, like, you're going to have them slowly suffer and eat each other, and then the last one's going to starve to death as its wounds fester. It's like, yeah, the real estate guy was actually a lot more humane than the doctor in that one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah. But yeah, I think he's just and he takes every opportunity to like revel in, I'm important. I'm gonna change the canon. I don't care if it works. I did it. It's like, which brings us to the survivors of the Flux. Oh man.
Which I have to say one thing about this. They copied Rick and Morty.
I haven't seen Rick and Morty, so I'm going to have to go off of your
Which part?
The whole, we're gonna leave this universe and go on to another one.
Oh yeah.
So
there was an entire season about that where it's like there was one episode reserved specifically for, oh man, we fucked up this universe. We better go to another dimension, because they dimension hop a lot.
Yeah.
Although what I would love to see in Doctor Who, since they are like doing the whole new dimension thing, have them do an episode like with this season where Morty ended up going to that one dimension and becoming a villain, because 1 second here is like 20 years there or something. And so he went to stash the booze, and when he went to collect it again, he made friends with this other guy, and he brought the other guy back into his dimension. And then when the guy went back, it was like 7 years had passed. What's going on? I thought you were dead. And it started a war with his wife, and his wife and after that, slowly an entire empire grew out of their hatred of Morty.
Yeah, but
that would be hilarious to have in Doctor Who.
No. The new universe is filled with My Little Pony.
But yeah, so the companion / the professor doing their thing, I mean, that wasn't too bad. They're moving very linearly, but They have brought in seers, but weirder things have happened with Doctor Who, premonitions and that sort of thing. I
They
suppose.
did have that one episode in Pompeii where Karen Gillian, before she became Amy Pond, was a seer.
Yeah.
And funny enough, before Eve Miles became Gwen Cooper, she was Gwyneth in the episode with the Gelf. And she was also a seer.
So yeah, I mean, seers aren't the weirdest thing, but and so I mean, their line isn't too bad. I mean, it's kind of mixed in with what's his face, the Grand Serpent. I was for a second there, I didn't recognize him, and I was like, wait, this guy looks really familiar. I've seen this guy before, Prentice or whatever he was going by. It's like, I know this guy. This guy exists. Yeah, I've seen him, and I've seen him recently. It's like, wait a second. And these Grand Serpent, it's like, oh yeah, that's where it was. It's like, because I didn't put it together because like he's supposed to be Grand Serpent's supposed to be far, far away. And we had no indication he was a time traveler. So it was like, okay, that didn't even occur to me. It's like, I knew I recognized him, but I was like, I'll wait until I see it'll answer it somewhere. Yeah, and then he finally did, and it's like, but his whole like it makes more sense as to, like, it sort of retcons the Brexit unit thing.
Yeah, it does fix that a little bit. Like,
it's still stupid, but it fixes it a little bit.
It's like, oh, unit is over in the UK because Kate had to go underground because some douchebag is trying to kill her.
Yeah. And yeah, it's like, and the fact that, well, and the weird thing was okay. I am not and I'm not well versed in classic Who unit. Okay, I know the Brigadier, I know that. And I think that's what was that what the first the general that he was is that who the Grand Serpent was supposed to be messing with in the beginning?
I don't know, because he didn't quite feel like the like Brigadier.
And was he killed before to the time where they would have given birth to Kate?
I don't oh no, that general wasn't. I don't think that general was
the Brigadier.
Supposed to be the Brigadier.
Okay.
And in fact, hold on one second.
Yeah, because I was like, was that supposed to be the Brigadier? Because that doesn't make any sense. Because, like, was he trying to destroy a unit altogether? Like, if they had skipped and he had been there towards the end, towards more modern times, and he'd come in then and tried to infiltrate and successfully shut down unit, blaming it on Brexit or something, like, if that had been the case, then it would have been a lot less confusing. It would have been like, okay, he's some sort of time. Go ahead. Sorry, what?
Her name is Claire.
Oh, Claire, really? Okay.
That's why Clara.
Okay.
No, I don't think it was. No, it wasn't
the Brigadier. Yeah, that didn't seem like that doesn't. How could he kill the Brigadier? Like, that would mess up a lot of timeline. and then we wouldn't have Kate, unless it was after he had already had Kate. Though he was looking older, he did have gray, so he probably, if that would have been the Brigadier, though the timing would have been weird. Like, that would make Kate a lot older than I think she is. So that wouldn't make sense. I'd have to figure out how old Kate is supposed to be, and then figure out when that was supposed to have occurred that he killed the Brigadier, well, not the brigadier, but this general, and then see if that even made sense. But yeah, he's.
I gotta say though, they have a lot to tie up for the last episode.
I know.
Yeah, and
It's probably going to be a clusterfuck.
well,
Wait,
yes.
wait, no. There's more than that. There's 2 more episodes. Well, no, there's 1 more episode of Flux, and then there's an episode. It's listed episode 7, January 1st, and then there's an episode 8, and then there's listed as episode 9, Centenary Special. So that's probably going to be. Wait, what? Ed has Whitaker as the Doctor still? No. What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, now she's gonna be the permanent Doctor.
Oh, okay, maybe. I mean, maybe give her a chance with new writer, but I thought she was gone after this.
Yeah, maybe there are. Maybe she gets 1 more New Year, because she has to regenerate at some point, and if she doesn't regenerate it after 6, then because I wasn't sure how many more episodes she was like. Is it Flux and that's it, or is there extra stuff that because like we're really close to like Davies would have to be taking up stuff right now. We like it, so.
Yeah, it has listed 3 more episodes, 4 more episodes, 6 on Sunday, and then 3 episodes in 2022.
Okay, so the New Year's, basically the
New Year's special.
the New Year's episode instead of the Christmas episode, and then we'll have 2 more, which presumably those will be, well, it said it's what should it was some sort of special.
Centenary Special, CENTENARY.
Like centenary. That's not 100 years. Maybe they're celebrating something else at 100 years, because that's not Doctor Who.
Well, it says the 100. It's not the 100 years. It's the hold on, I think it's the 60th is in 2 years. A year and a half, whatever. Well, 2 years, because
100th anniversary.
The 60th anniversary is in 2 years. Yeah. Like 2 years from the 20th.
Centenary, it does mean 100 years.
100, yeah.
So, what are they celebrating 100 years of? The BBC? BBC TV? I don't know.
Maybe? Hold on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Let's see.
Yeah. BBC's centenary year is in 2022.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense why they'd call it centenary. Okay, and I'm guessing.
So it's probably okay. Let's see.
I'm guessing New Year's special, and then
the 2022 specials of the British science fiction program Doctor Who are 3 additional episodes set to follow the program's 13th series. The first special is set to air on the 1st of January 2022, with the additional specials airing later the same year. They will be the final episodes to feature Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor and Chris Chibnall as the showrunner. The show also stars Mandip Gill and John Bishop as the Doctor's traveling companions, Yasmin Khan and Dan Lewis, respectively.
Okay. So she's getting a New Year's special. We're going to get another episode doing something. And then the Centenary special, which that'll be the last thing Chibnall does.
Mm-hmm.
Which, assuming that's also going to be a big regeneration episode as well. So it's going to be the Centenary, Chibnall's sign off, and a regeneration. That way, or at least the start of regeneration, and then Davies will pick up whenever he gets to it from there. So we have, or was it 3 including the last Flux, or it's
No,
the 3
it's
3 more. So there's 4 episodes
yeah.
total left.
It's starting on New Year's. There will be 3 of them next year.
Yeah. Okay. So New Year's something we don't know, and then centenary episode. Those are the 3 after the last Flux episode appears this weekend. There'll be New Year's, something else, centenary, and that'll be the end of Chibnall and Whitaker. And then Davies will pick up sometime in the future. I wouldn't be surprised, depending on how bad COVID messes up scheduling, if Davies decides to make the premiere of the next Doctor a Christmas special.
It might be.
That would be my guess. Because
he's
known long enough, he can start getting everything sort of lined up. He can start talking to people he might want as a doctor. He might do all this sort of lining things up, and start some pre-writing, and at least get maybe a sketch of what he wants for the regeneration and the Christmas special. Kind of a general outline until he nails down who he wants as the doctor. And once he's nailed down who he wants as the doctor, he can adjust the dialogue and adjust things until it fits the new doctor. And then that's enough time. I think they could at the very least, even if they do a Christmas special and then there's a break, and then we get, my hope is we finish this, Davies has time to work with his doctor and get all the writing done, and then sometime this summer they do the Christmas special. They do the announcement, they start filming sometime in the fall, and then we get a Christmas special.
Okay,
Doctor.
no. The first episode of Davies' run is going to be the 60th anniversary, so November 23rd.
Okay, so November
23rd, 2023 is when his is going to take over, because it says Davies is to take over to celebrate the 60th anniversary and series beyond.
Okay, so 2023?
Yeah.
Okay, so we get these 3 episodes past Flux, and that's it until there'll be no Doctor Who at all in 2022.
Nope.
Well, beyond those 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And then there'll be basically no Doctor Who again until November of the next year. So Davies won't take hold for about another 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably going to start production soon.
Yeah, I imagine. Course. Oh, yeah, and I'm still hold to the point that once he was announced, I'm sure if he hadn't already talked to people and kept in touch with people, I would be surprised if he didn't already have. Once he was in talks, he might have already started to make a short list, and then once he was officially announced, I'm sure that he may not have. I mean, they may not, because he's not technically the showrunner yet, but I'm sure that he has talked with the people he's most interested in making the next Doctor, and I'm sure that he probably hasn't narrowed down to a short list at this point if he doesn't have the person he wants already sort of lined up and saying, okay.
I honestly, if it is another female, I hope she's somebody good, like the Ruth Doctor. Amazing.
Yeah,
Missy, amazing. Like, you can have a great female lead, but just make sure she's good. You know who'd be good? I know you're not a huge MCU fan, but Hallie Atwell, she played, if you've seen the first Avenger, Captain America First Avenger.
Yeah.
She played Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
She'd be great. She has that mix of like being able to kick ass and take charge while still being like be able to do the prim and proper thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and we won't know who's. It's also going to be availability and whatnot,
Yeah,
and finding
true.
somebody else, somebody who's available, who's willing to do it, who's willing to step into this sort of. Though, to be fair, like I was going to say that this harsh environment, but I think Davies after Chibnall is going to have a lot of goodwill built up for him. It's
Yeah.
like we're ready for good Doctor Who again, and he's gonna probably have a pretty wide berth in just because when it's your expectations
Well,
are
I
pushed
mean,
this low, anything above it starts to sound.
I mean, Chibnall brought in Whitaker. She was already on a short list. Like she had to audition, but he called her, because they knew each other from Broadchurch.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, her character on Broadchurch wasn't that, authoritative. She played the mother of the kid who died.
Yeah. I've seen a bit of Broadchurch. Just enough to see
I
her a
saw
little bit.
Like when she was first announced, I saw like the first season. But yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't wowed, but yeah, I mean,
It was more of a soap opera, honestly.
yeah, it was a detective show / soap opera / it was small town thing.
It was like if Twin Peaks wasn't done well. It wasn't. If they took out the sci-fi aspect of Twin Peaks and added in a little more All My Children.
But yeah, it was. Yeah, we don't know what that's gonna look like. But I gotta imagine he's gonna start. He's like as soon as since we already know, I'm sure there's somebody out there with a countdown timer. It's like till Davies comes back. Till Davies comes back.
Like, oh, fun fact. The 100th anniversary of BBC special with the Doctor is the 300th episode of the New Who.
Oh,
holy!
Chibnall gets to play with it.
No, this is this is the one right before Chibnall. Chibnall gets 301. Chibnall's first episode is going to be 301.
I mean, Davies' new episode.
Oh yeah, Davies is going to get. I'm sorry, I confused the two names.
Yeah, Centenary. Yeah, okay. If you're talking about 60th, that's going to be Davies. Centenary.
Davies gets the 301st episode. Although technically, it's probably not going to be an episode. It's probably going to be Day of the Doctors type thing, which I hope they have it in theaters.
Oh yeah, if it's the 60th anniversary, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I did see Day of the Doctor in theaters when it came out.
Yeah, and other than Eccleston, like Eccleston has come back to do some Big Finish stuff, but I don't know. I know he doesn't get along with Davies. Like there's some bad blood, but
actually, I was not a fan of the Eccleston run, but I do like his Big Finish audios.
I liked Eccleston. I haven't I haven't listened to the Big Finish audios of his, but I actually did like his run. But then again, he was kind of my introduction to the Doctor, so
he was your first Doctor.
So
that's okay.
They kind of the first one kind of gets a pass on just about everything. Some may be better, but you give a lot of, you're going to give a lot of leeway to your.
You never forget your first Doctor. I actually have that shirt.
But yeah, so I think Eccleston was like I may have watched like Blink or something to decide whether I wanted to even invest time, but the first Doctor I watched all the way through was Eccleston, And so, yeah. So I maybe have a blind spot to it, and nostalgia goggles. But I do like him, and I wonder if Tennant's available and Smith's available, which given enough time, if they since they're planning this way out ahead, I gotta imagine that Tennant and Smith will probably make some time for it, unless something big jumps in the way. I imagine Tennant and Smith will make some time for it. Eccleston, there's some bad blood with Davies, but maybe you can't get hurt. Obviously, Capaldi, I'm sure he'd find time. I know he's a Moffat, but he loves Doctor Who as much as any of them.
And not only that, I mean, also Smith was a Moffat too.
Yeah, Smith was a Moffat too, but
yeah, I'm saying, I would love to see all the new Who and have the curator back. Tom Baker has been in the audios as the curator multiple times.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would be. That's the thing is when actors start getting up there, it's like I'm always, you're 2 years out. Are they going to make it that far and planning it with them involved? It's like Smith, I'm not worried about. Tennant, I'm not worried about. Like, unless something accidental happens, like they're gonna be around.
Yeah.
Like, barring illness or injury, they're gonna be around. Smith was the youngest doctor ever, so he's gonna be around.
Yeah.
Capaldi he's not that old. He's older, but he's not that old, and I think he'll be fine. He was in really good health when he left, so I haven't kept up with him, but I'm gonna guess he's probably in decent shape still. And then so getting him to come back for one episode, and as much as he loves Doctor Who, I'm sure it won't be much of a.
I know he was in Suicide Squad this year.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I'm sure he'd be like, okay, I get to come back for another round as the Doctor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I only have to do one episode, right? Yeah. So all the running is in one episode. Okay. But then I'm sure Whittaker won't have a problem, unless there's just some really bad blood about. She got her 3 seasons.
I don't think there's bad blood. She seems pretty okay with
yeah, she got her full stint. Chibnall didn't, but she got her full stint, so she can't be that mad. And then if you have if you could, I think the biggest, like, the Centennial will get, the 60th will get, by then we'll probably get the new Doctor, and then we'll probably be able to get, 13, 12, 11, 10, I don't think we'll have much of a problem with, unless it's just availability, injury, illness, something like that beyond their control. If they have the time and they're planning this far out, I gotta imagine they'll be able to get them. The only one I think of New Who that they might not be able to get is Eccleston, just because he and Davies. But if they could get past that, if they could mend those fences a little bit, maybe you could get Eccleston to come in. And then if hopefully nothing happens to Baker, he's getting on in years and COVID's a thing, hopefully he's taking care of himself pretty well. He seems, when I see him, he seems very alert and energetic and just fine.
He's still really cognizant. He was in the newest Unit episode.
Yeah.
He was in the newest Unit audios.
Yeah, so Baker, he seems, every time I see him, when I see him in things, he seems bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I mean, he's getting on in years, but he's, hopefully if he can keep kicking, you might be able to get the curator in there, and if anybody else is still around, you might be able to maybe do voice work out of that. Get everybody to appear as voices, maybe. Like, you have Ford show up as the curator, but everybody else does like voice work who's still around. Like, I think, was it McCoy is still around? I think. Seven's still around. I think, was it 6 is still around? Isn't everybody
Yeah,
4
all of them after 4 and up are still around.
except for War?
Yeah, except for War, but
Yeah,
of the classic Doctors, they're all still around, starting 4 and up.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, oh, you could get. Oh, could you imagine if they got Paul McGann?
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
Just to add, let's just see how many doctors we can pack into this thing. You got 2 years to figure it out. Like, how many doctors can you wrangle into this thing?
And they have, I mean, look what they did with the first Doctor in Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah, they could.
They could bring Brad. They could bring what's his name in.
Yeah, that's always going to be interesting about that role, is because he's the first Doctor, and to look right, he has to be older. So they're going to have to like rotate that Doctor a little more frequently through whenever they bring the first Doctor back. That person who plays the first Doctor is going to have to rotate a little faster than everybody else, because 2 is young enough that you could have somebody go 10-20 years and be your second Doctor that appears. But
yeah,
1 is going to have to be
David Bradley. That's the name of the Doctor.
Yeah, you could do that. You could, in fact, get younger versions of all of them, like you did. I don't know what sort of trickery they did for the 50th when they brought in all those people.
Oh, they just had stand-ins who looked similar and then overlaid them with the Doctors.
Yeah, so
like,
I mean, if you could find
Pat Troughton, I think they used his son. Or no, it was Pertwee. They used Pertwee's son, Sean Pertwee, I think it was. Yeah. And overlaid him. Yeah. And actually, it was either Troughton or Pertwee, but their son does an amazing impression of him. And like, he's been in on TV and looks amazingly like him.
Yeah, so you could find lookalikes where you could, and you could even do that. Like if we're gonna throw out the rules and say, okay, these people have been around long enough that we kind of need new people to play these Doctors, and you just go, okay, we're gonna cast new people that look as close to these people as we can. We're gonna find somebody to be the second. We're gonna find somebody to be the third. Curator, we can still use Baker because he seems willing to be the curator, and then just go through and find people that are close enough looking if the person themselves is too old to play the part. If it makes sense. Like, you could find all sorts of people that run a lookalike contest, like, oh, for second, for third, for fourth. Here's a lookalike contest.
Well, I mean, there's a thing with that, like, lookalike.
Well, I mean, actors, not a lookalike contest. That would be a bad idea. But
seeming like them. Yeah. There's a difference.
But yeah, I mean, running a not necessarily a contest, but casting call for somebody who looks and sounds like 2, who looks and sounds like 3, that sort of thing, where you just go, okay, we need to find somebody who looks like they did in their prime, and with the later Doctors, if you have them just sort of in the background, they could even have them like have them redubbed by the actors themselves.
Yeah.
Just as long as they're not the focus, like they're in the background or they're on a phone call or something, you could do that. But yeah, that's going a bit out of it. But getting back to this.
Yeah, from our very long tangent.
Yeah. But that's kind of we're kind of coming up.
I know.
We're kind of
any type.
And then, so I think we're back. I think we've knocked it down to basically the Division and Tecteun.
Yeah, so we meet our mother, apparently.
Yep.
How I Met Your Mother. The end of the universe? This universe. Yeah, that's like
Insert your joke here.
But yeah, the Division. Good grief.
I know, right?
Like, don't get me wrong. Leaven Ood's good, but yeah, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to recruit weeping angels and all these others. Like, yeah, no, what are you doing? Like,
them like destroying the first universe and moving over to the second universe is just, it's pretty much the galactic version of I made a mess, I'm going to sweep it all underneath the rug.
well, not even that. I'm going to sweep it into a bucket and then I'm going to light it on fire.
Yeah.
Because if she was just sweeping it under the rug, she would just move the Division, take all the people that she wanted to, grab them, take them on her little interdimensional craft, and go to a different dimension. No, she not only did that, she burned the Division down. It took her mistake, crumpled it up, threw it in a bucket, lit it on fire.
I mean, the whole, like, there being multiple universes isn't exactly that special. Like, it's not new. I mean, we had it in the Cyberman episode.
Oh yeah, and that was something they said. Like they said, like they used to. In fact, they used to. So they used to go between universes, didn't they? Like the universes used to be open to jump universes.
The most controversial companion of all, Adric, is from another dimension.
Yeah, they used to be able to do that when the Time Lords were active. Like they could jump dimensions because they managed that. They managed the dimensional jumping. Like jumping dimensions isn't a feat that's beyond Time Lord tech. They used to do it, but it's just harder to do because it's not as well regulated. And if you just set up all the equipment again and automated it, you could create dimensional jumps anyway. And so the Division isn't spectacular in that it's, the only thing that's spectacular is how they're destroying the first universe. Like, instead of just escaping and going to a different universe, like, not only are we going to escape and run away to the other universe, we're going to destroy the prime universe we came from. Why?
And who knows? Maybe I doubt it. Their doctor's going to defeat them like it always does or whatever. But what if they did manage to, like, go to the other universe and it's like just completely taken over by Cybermen? Like,
they go to
They
go to the universe from that episode from the Code Silver episode of Big Finish, where it already was overrun by Cybermen. And
no, I've got a different one. Okay. They they go to the next universe over, and there's a doctor in that universe too, but it's played by Rowan Atkinson.
Oh, that one with the balls in his Oh, I love that special.
I don't remember if Rowan Atkinson was. I think he was the beginning point of that episode, but that means there's time before that.
No, I think he was the. Was he the beginning?
He might have been at the end. I don't know. He was somewhere in there, but
I know because he had because the other guy had the master. The guy who played the master had the balls. this does mean Whittaker was not the first woman to play the Doctor. Because there was that time when the Doctor regenerated as a girl in the Rowan Atkinson special.
It's non-canon, but if you did have Rowan Atkinson show up in another one, then that would be canon, and then you would have. But then again, they've kind of said that was that whole. Chibnall kind of erased that whole thing anyway, because
the Curse of the Fatal Death.
Yeah, Curse of Fatal Death. Yeah, the chronologically
it was
speaking.
By Moffat.
What?
It was written by Moffat.
Of course it was. Now I just want Rowan Atkinson as the Doctor.
Yes.
More in a vein of maybe 2. Something like that.
Yes, please, yes.
Rowan Atkinson as
directed showrunner Davies with Rowan Atkinson as the new Doctor. Yes.
It turns out Mr. Bean is just a Time Lord. But it explains why he doesn't understand anything.
Yes.
Or a Time Lord who's used the chameleon art and has forgotten all of his Time Lord stuff, but also didn't bother to learn all the human stuff before using the chameleon art, so he doesn't understand anything. So he's just like, and so he has no sense of. He's just trying to make his way. He's just like, now I'm gonna have to watch The Curse of Fatal Death after this.
Here's a reference. The Dalek bumps worn by the Master are presumably a reference to the Time Lord's questioned ability at the time to regenerate across genders. Stephen Moffat would later create Missy, a female incarnation of the Master, and the first Time Lord to regenerate from male to female in Dark Waters. The same would happen to the Doctor in Twice Upon a Time, in which Jodie Whittaker became the first female Doctor, as foreshadowed here by Moffat casting Joanne Lumley. Coincidentally, both played the 13th Doctor. Never or cowardly, as the Doctor is described here by Emma, would later be revealed by Moffat in Day of the Doctor to be the promise that is made by taking the name of the Doctor.
Just that to be an alternate universe where Rowan Atkinson is the Doctor, or either have him as the Doctor or have him as a parallel dimension Doctor. Even if just for an episode, the Doctor meets the Doctor from the parallel dimension. It's just Rowan Atkinson. It's just, but which Rowan Atkinson? Are we talking more Mr. Bean and number 2, or is he going to be more cynical and more Blackadder?
I think a mix of like Blackadder and Mr. Bean. Like a little bit of both, because you don't want too cynical and evil, because Blackadder is more of a master type. You know what I mean? He's more the master. He really is the master. Okay?
Oh, that would be hilarious. Rowan Atkinson as the master.
Yeah, I don't know which one I want more. Rowan Atkinson as the master or the Doctor. No. Rowan Atkinson is the Master and Hugh Laurie is the Doctor.
You play a Doctor again.
Yes. And actually, House is based off of Sherlock Holmes, but...
yeah, I don't know what Hugh Laurie is up to these days. Probably just sitting on his pile of house money and going, I can do whatever I want. I've got a giant pile of money from doing house. I can do whatever I want.
He would make an awesome Doctor.
But yeah, I mean, the whole division idea is a bit silly. Like it's this magical thing. Like no, if you paid attention, like it's like, no, this is fairly rudimentary Time Lord stuff. The only reason they don't do it more often, the Doctor doesn't jump very often is because those lanes aren't, paved as much as they used to be. Like you kind of have to, you're kind of going off-roading. But if if you could, pave those roads again, you could jump between dimensions all you wanted. So that's also, division is not particularly spectacular if you know your Doctor Who fairly well. I mean, crushing the universe, that's a different story, but it's also very stupid. Because if you just wanted to get away from that universe and start it fresh, you don't have to destroy the old one. Like if the division just grabbed a sample of everything and then just left the dimension and just went to a different one, the Doctor wouldn't notice. Nobody would be bothered. Unless the Doctor ended up there for some reason.
I mean, it's not like he hasn't.
Yeah. I gotta say, those evil aliens that turn people to dust, they confused me more and more. It's like, okay, so what? They didn't create the Flux then? Then who the hell are they?
They were locked up by the... They were locked up by the division.
Oh, I get that, but I kind of figured that they were the ones that started the Flux.
No, they were... I'm not sure.
Maybe they
Honestly, it's really hard to tell because, dude...
It's Chibnall. The writing is a little...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I think, if they weren't the ones to start the Flux, then maybe they intentionally... Did she release them, or... I can't remember what...
No,
I think they said that... Didn't she... Didn't remember something about that, where she released them or something to cause some chaos or something, and then they've come back in sort of hubris, have come back to bite her. And but yeah, all she had to do was keep them sealed up, and then just the whole point is just keep the Doctor busy. Maybe they were there to keep the Doctor busy, but they got a little out of hand, and now they've come back after the person who locked them up in the first place. I don't know, but
we'll have to see the last episode and be like,
yeah, that was stupid.
Okay, yeah, it still makes no sense. Because let's face it still won't make any sense.
Yeah, nothing the division is doing is making a whole lot of sense. It's like, okay, we want to control these. You want to move to a new universe, so we're going to crush the old one. Why? Because. Why? We want to. Why? I don't know.
Because we want to. Because we want to.
Yeah. So you could literally just... It's not extraordinary tech. Like, the Doctor has traversed the dimensional barriers, like, at least once I'm aware of, and probably more than that. Way more than that than I know of. And the Time Lords could have the tech to do it anyways, to actually make that travel fairly easy. So why not just... You have a division. We're everywhere. We can air everything. Like, if you can recruit that much, just have them set up the Time Lord tech that made those traversals easy and just go. Just forget the old universe. Go to the new one. Once you got everybody in there that you want, burn the bridge. And then let nobody come after you.
Yeah.
Nobody would know you went anyway. I mean, there might be some records, there might be some missing weird things, but if you're not causing a problem, nobody's going to come after you.
Exactly.
But, yeah. There's a lot to this division that's, I mean, again, this series just feels like Chibnall, somebody who doesn't understand the lore or doesn't care, and is just like, he's got his toys, and then I'll have these show up. Have we had Daleks show up? We've had Sontaran show up. We've had Cybermen show up.
Not here. No.
Yeah, we've had Cybermen, Daleks who haven't shown up yet, but like, and Time Lords and Oods and the Watch and what next? We're gonna have the Family of Blood who's gonna show up. We're gonna
Maybe.
like they're all like, is he gonna have to
No,
talk with the
no,
girl in the
no.
mirror?
Let's have the Ronnie show up.
Yeah, who's
Finally let the Ronnie appear.
It's like, we're just gonna basically raid all the things we've done in New Who and just like, okay, we'll have an Ood, and we'll have a Weeping Angel, and we'll have a Cyberman, and we'll have a Dalek at some point, and we'll have and Sontarans, and
Barney the dinosaur.
it's like, and I don't care how I get there, I just want to have all these in here. And it's like, oh, no, come on. It's like, I enjoy these types too, and I understand, wanting to make the fans happy by putting some fan favorites in there, but how about we do that and be good?
Yeah.
Um,
Right now it looks more like, I don't even know. Shit. Can we just say absolute shit?
Hey, at least the Zatarans are making a comeback again.
I think that whole Sontaran thing, that's sort of closing a loop. Like, he allowed them in, and then that starts the whole the Liverpudlian the walk.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just, I don't know. He's gonna have to do a lot to wrap this up in the last episode, and it's probably not gonna be very good. And then we're gonna be waiting for the New Year's, and that won't be these are gonna be his last hurrahs, and so I fully expect him to take a giant steaming poop on the canon. On as much canon, poop on as much canon as he just get his fingers stick his fingers into every pie he can in canon. It's like, oh yeah, did you know that the Daleks are actually descended from unicorns? That's why they have the whisk is actually a unicorn horn. It's a modified unicorn.
Actually, my nephew wants to make that, so he did make himself a dragon Dalek this year.
But yeah, I mean, it's
wait, I shouldn't say that too loudly. Chibnall might hear.
Yeah, really, like, he just doesn't give a yeah, he's just like, oh, what's the stupidest thing I can do? What's the dumbest that's the dumbest thing. What's the dumbest thing I can do? What is the way I can take basic canon of this particular species and absolutely destroy it? Like, oh no, Sontaran's probic vent isn't in the back of their neck. It's on their left kneecap.
No, he's keeping the continuity they have, but he is embellishing in all the wrong ways, because the Doctor was supposed to be special. He was supposed to be like, it was thought in as far back as the 80s, and there are actually Target novelizations of storylines they had come up with before the series ended the first time and went on hiatus, where the Doctor is actually not quite a reincarnation, but he is the
reloomed other,
where he was actually friends with Rassilon and Omega and this and that, and he's actually was something really special, because he's the first he was actually a rare reincarnation, or he was the last born Time Lord before looming started. All these, I don't remember exactly because there are so many different ideas behind it. So the fact that the Doctor is special is nothing new. Like, it has been played around with since the original series.
But it was never canon until now.
It was soft canon.
No, it
But
wasn't hard canon in the TV series.
Yeah, but the thing is, the only reason it wasn't is because the series ended before it could be.
Which,
like,
good.
they had it planned out for
Well, not
years.
that we lost Doctor Who, but that never got made. Because I think the relooming is less of a problem than the Timeless Child. On gradations, I would prefer.
Yes, I agree that him being either the reincarnation or being the other is more preferable to
if
the
it's
Timeless Child thing, only because like the whole Timeless Child thing means the Doctor is the progenitor of all time, which still the Doctor would have been the progenitor of all Time Lords if he were the other, but the way they did it kind of over vilified the Time Lords and made the Doctor seem like a martyr.
Yeah.
Where the Doctor wasn't really a martyr. The Doctor was equally complicit with a lot of the stuff the Time Lords did. He wasn't this, oh no, that you guys shouldn't do that. It was more, you guys are annoyingly stuffy and uptight. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go to this party. See ya. That's basically what the Doctor was. The Doctor stole a TARDIS to steal away his granddaughter and get away from the stuffy, uptight, almost aristocratic Time Lords. You know?
And yeah, I mean, in terms of, the
And where in Chibnall's continuity does Susan come in? Because Chibnall completely forgot about Susan. Like, completely lost track of Susan there.
Well, and the other thing is also on this, if the Doctor is the Timeless Child, okay, and Ginny is a rehashing of the same, it's basically a sideways regeneration of the Timeless Child. Like, is Ginny also a Timeless Child, essentially, in terms of species?
Yep, she is immortal.
So she would be immortal, so she would be, like, it was hinted that she got out of there and regenerated.
Well, there actually is a Big Finish series about it, too.
Okay, she well, yeah, but sticking to hard canon, like,
yeah,
Big Finish is canon until it's not.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, I mean, technically, she's running around with being a Timeless Child, whatever that species is that the Doctor is, that they got the regeneration from. And so she's running around with unlimited regenerations as well. We have no idea what she's up to as well. Which, knowing Chibnall, he'll go grab somebody and say, oh no, this is Ginny. It's like, and then do something stupid with her.
Somebody to do that with the Rani, although my personal headcanon is that the Rani is Rani Chandra from Sarah Jane Adventures.
But yeah, we don't know. Anyway, is there anything else we want to talk about? I think we've touched about every base we can with this thing, and then some. Is there anything else we want to cover on this?
Yeah, I got nothing.
No, I mean, probably, but I can't think of anything right now.
Yeah.
Aside from, I think Chibnall's a bit of a dick with that Belle girl and that one guy, because every time they're almost ready to meet, shit goes down and they get separated again.
Yeah. I mean, I understand.
Oh, like, oh yeah, my coordinates. No, don't do that. It's like, God damn it.
It's not a bad story. It's just sort of a weird thing to throw in there to use time in a
No,
Doctor Who episode for. I mean, it's not a bad story. It's just sort of a weird thing to throw in
and
there.
it's
But
just more shit to throw in that they need to explain. Like that first episode or second episode with that little UFO thing where that girl beats it with a bat. What the hell is going on with that? There still hasn't been an explanation at all.
explain.
Explain. Yes, come on. Like, what the hell?
But okay. Well, if we're at that point in the episode in this review, I'll go ahead and cut it because we're sitting at about over an hour and a half at this point.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stop the stream in 3, 2, 1.